Now, viewers, this isn't accidental. It reflects the emerging political reality. Every party is now fighting the same battle for the youngest and now the second largest fam of India's generational demographies. Now, politics follows law of physics. There is no action, no reaction without an action. And the devil here lies in the data. Today, Gen Alpha, which is up to 17 years of age, is around 27.6% of the population. Gen Z, 18 to 32 years of age, around 25% of the population. Millennials are 23.6%, Gen X 15.5%, and Boomers 7.7%. And politics is eyeing 400 to 450 million, or about 40 to 50 crore people in the age group of youngsters, in the age group of 17 to 32. The outreach, the plan to connect with generation that's changing the conversation isn't restricted to Parliament. Facing protest and a storm over fierce police crackdown, Prime Minister Modi engaged the first gear. Through 3 unscripted vertical selfie videos, he spoke their lingo. He posted them around midnight for maximum consumption. The cumulative views have crossed 750 million. And this was a sign that Gen Z had moved from being passive players to national conversation shapers. Congress had ignored CJP protests for weeks. And then suddenly, leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi staged a dharna outside Prime Minister's residence with the pleas of young on his lips. Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav joined him. The government scrambled to set up an anti-leak task force and introduce a legislation. Today, during the debate on the bill to sync his party with Gen Z tune, Rahul Gandhi leveled some strong charges against the government, and there was a lot of uproar.
देखिए, आज होम मंत्रालय पे चर्चा नहीं हो रही। आज जिस विधेयक पर चर्चा बैठे हैं।
The Home Minister, sir, the Home Minister.
No, आज होम मिनिस्टर पर चर्चा नहीं है।
कितना गलत बात बोल रहे हैं? आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं? आप बिना सोच समझ करके जो इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं और किसने फायरिंग का ऑर्डर दिया? What is going on? कैसे बोल सकते हैं आप? कितना गलत बात करते हैं? ऐसा मत बोलिए। राहुल गांधी जी, आप नेता प्रतिपक्ष हैं। गंभीरता से बात बोलना चाहिए।
The BJP, facing the heat, has now recalibrated its strategy. It posted a new video showing a group of youngsters and an older gym trainer exchange Gen Z slangs like vibes, blue tick, and then they discuss India's progress, but Sarkari style. But viewers, change and best laid political plans always run into detractors. Amid Prime Minister's outreach, MP Kangana Ranaut threw a spanner in her party's narrative. She described Gen Z as generation gutter. I will repeat. She branded Gen Z as generation gutter. Not just this, she described viral videos from the protest puke-inducing. Actor Sonu Sood then called it shameful. Listen in.
ये किस तरह के स्टूडेंट हैं और किस तरह की अश्लील बातें हैं, किस एंगल से ये लोग स्टूडेंट लगते हैं, ये इनके खुद की तो हैसियत नहीं है अफोर्ड करने की, और हमें ये अब ट्रोल करे चाहे कुछ भी करे, 16 ईयर ओल्ड से जो है हम अपना करियर बना रहे हैं, माता पिता पर कभी बोझ बनकर नहीं रहे। अगर ऐसा कहा है तो बहुत मुझे लगता है कि शर्मनाक बात है, ऐसे नहीं कहना चाहिए। और ऐसे ही नहीं बोलते कि तोल मोल के बोल, बड़ा ज़रूरी है कि आप सोच समझ के बोलें, क्योंकि जो जनता है वो ही ईश्वर का दूसरा रूप है।
Also, the ground seems to be telling a very different story. Realizing that the Gen Z cohort is too big to ignore is easier. So is attempting to project leaders by flagging Gen Z anxieties is not a big deal. But it's a fact that the youth resonated more with a satirical platform, not political parties. The signal from Gen Z is earn our faith. And that can't happen with rhetoric. So tonight, when, it seems elections will now be less about wooing traditional voters and more about generation that is asking questions, we need to debate. Are political parties really changing or just rebranding themselves? How difficult will it be to understand Gen Z's priorities? And lastly, will Gen Z be satisfied with mere Instagram content? Let's welcome our guests on this debate this evening. We have Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Shaina NC, Shiv Sena Spokesperson, Naimisha, Founder, Youthocracy, Imran Ahmed Ali, Lawyer and Political Analyst, Tausif Ahmed Khan, Lawyer and Political Analyst. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now and Nation Wants to Know this evening. Sanju Verma, let me begin this discussion with you. Do you also believe that Gen Z is gutter generation gutter? Is that what BJP thinks about Gen Z?
You know, Heena, you started with a very nice quote of Edmund Burke. So let me throw in another quote by famous American author John Maxwell. He says there are two kinds of pride, good pride and bad pride. Good pride is about self-respect and dignity, whereas bad pride is about a superiority complex driven by conceit and arrogance. Now, I'm not going to brand Gen Z as gutter chap or, a bunch of disillusioned people who take to the streets, because I don't think 10, 12, 20 or 30 people who abused, they represent Gen Z in the truest sense of the term. But having said that, I also want to say one thing. I think there is no better brand ambassador than Prime Minister Narendra Modi, be it Gen Alpha, Gen Z, Gen X, Boomers, Millennials, what have you. I mean, as you rightly said, his Instagram videos have clocked 750 million views. That is 75 crore views. That is almost 12 times the population of United Kingdom, 11 times the population of France, and almost 10 times the population of Germany. But beyond Instagram, I think rather than taking Kangana Ranaut's statements in isolation, let's look at what the BJP top brass has done.
Let's clear the confusion here. Who should the people of this country believe? What Kangana Ranaut, who's a BJP MP, is saying, or what Prime Minister has said and what you're talking about?
I think very clearly. When I sit here, I talk about the top brass, and when I say the top brass, I mean Union Home Minister Amit Shah.
Simply put, you do not agree with Kangana? Simply put, you do not agree with what Kangana has said, how she has branded Gen Z as generation gutter. You don't agree with it, right or wrong?
Heena, let me finish. It will take me 30 seconds. You know, I always on your show say I'm the last person to shove the uncomfortable truth under the carpet. You know, you can call me arrogant, but I call a spade a spade. Do I agree with Kangana Ranaut's statement calling the entire Gen Z as, gutter snipes? No. But at the same time, do I endorse slogans from certain Gen Z protesters who said Modi mar gaya, hi, hi, who said Amit Shah mar gaya, hi, hi, who said Sansad Bhavan ko aag laga do, who said Samvidhan ko aag laga do, who said Umar Khalid zindabad, who said Sharbhi Imam zindabad? I don't agree with these
Before I
Gen
go
Z
across to my
protesters.
other guest, let me, say something about what you quoted earlier. You quoted Maxwell. So are you, in a way, distancing yourself from what a BJP MP said about Gen Z that your party is trying to woo very hard these days?
I will again reinforce the tallest leader of this country, the tallest leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party, unconditionally, unequivocally, is Prime Minister Narendra Modi. When he has reached out to Gen Z, nothing that anyone else says matters. But I stand with Kangana on one thing, that there have been people who have hijacked the protests and have been using profanities and abusive language against the Prime Minister. Let's not forget to condemn them. Let's condemn people who say Modi mar gaya, hi, hi.
Okay. Shaina NC, you're friends with Kangana. Shrikant Shinde spoke the Gen Z lingo. What is it that you will like to say?
Well, our leader, Shrikant Shinde, today when he spoke, he did use the Gen Z lingo, whether it was FOMO on the fear of missing out or missing in action, etc. But 65% of India's voter is under 35. Now, the first time in young voters who are an integral part of Bharat, I'm glad that the Prime Minister reached out to them with sensitivity. There are core issues that are very important to all of them, whether it's jobs, exams, internet, authenticity. But do understand that digital natives who drive consumption today, be it UPI, quick commerce, branding, gaming, creators, these are all Gen Z. So I truly believe that the youth of our country is not the future, they are the present. Our party believes that the future workforce for India's demographic is divided between lives. And we do understand that, when there are trends which one makes and statements that one makes which are derogatory are sometimes condemnable. Here, what is the issue? There were NEET protests, there were paper leaks, there was Jantar Mantar, and there was a confident, sensitive government that reached out to all and said, we will come up with a concrete solution for you. That is what we should be debating.
That is exactly why we are having this debate today, Shaina, because won't what Kangana has said undo the gains from efforts by the Prime Minister or the government?
Prime Minister has made his stand very clear, whether it's him coming out and speaking that night or a Mann ki Baat where he dialogues with Gen Z directly, calling them any kind of name by one individual or by many individuals is not going to change that, because the government is here to deliver. And if you look at every single action of the government, whether it is a startup or encouraging Gen Z to get into active politics, do understand that these are those children who were born between 1997 to 2012, a lot of whom are our own kids. And
I hope you won't mind this, Shaina, but Gen Z अगर कहना थोड़ा मुश्किल है, उनको समझना और ज़्यादा मुश्किल है. This is something they have displayed, and that is the reason why efforts are being made. Imran, before I go across to my other guests, I mean, what is your take on what both Sanju as well as Shaina had to say? While efforts clearly are being made, from the government side, but then you have got a BJP MP. She's not an ordinary karyakarta, she's not an ordinary politician, and no action has really been taken against her also. She is also referring to Gen Z. She did not say that it's only a specific set of people that she's talking about. When she says Gen Z is generation gutter, I mean, then you can give ample amount of clarifications, but she called Gen Z Gen gutter.
Gen gutter, she said puke inducing, she body shamed them, she said there are certain kinds of girls who are so ugly. She said this generation has drugs and has drinks. She talked about endless body count. So let's not even go. It is morally so incorrect. And she has to be made an example out of that. MPs have to have, I mean, look at their post, they're members of parliament. And the kind of language she's using for Gen Z. Now, my only problem today is one, and the real delulu is one. You cannot win the Gen Z with hashtags on one side and insulting them on the other side. On one side, you say they're tukde gang. On one side, you say they're anti-national. On one side, you call Sonam Wangchuk a Chinese agent, deep state theories. On the other side, when things go out of control, then you go and give him soup. So this delulu is actually, and my predecessor, Shaina ji, she talked about how the government did enough. 81 days from the paper leak did some action be taken. 49 days at the Jantar Mantar. 26 days of a hunger strike. If you call this fast action, I think the definition in generations, at least I'm not even a Gen Z, the definitions of fast action are totally different.
Okay.
Now, Kangana ji also said one thing. Today only, I think she made a statement where she passes a comment against Saurabh Das and says, what do these guys know? Abhijit Dipke, postgraduate from Boston. Ashutosh Ranka, postgraduate from London School of Economics and a BTech from IIT Kanpur. Saurabh Das, graduate in journalism and mass comm. Sonam Wangchuk, BTech in mechanical engineering. Herself, 10+2. So I'm not even trying to certificate shame her. I'm just trying to say one thing, that there will be a difference in intellect. However, when you're a member of parliament...
We're not discussing the intellect here. We are talking about the fact that you've got a BJP MP who's trying to undo the gains probably that the government has made by reaching out to Gen Z, the young people in this country, when the Prime Minister has ignored all the posts that Kangana probably was talking about, that Sanju also referred to initially, and still reached out to the young people. It really means a lot. And shouldn't there be action against her, or maybe shouldn't she be asked to, think before she says something? Anyways, I'll go back to Sanju and Shaina in just a bit for a reaction on this. But before that, Naimish Shah, political parties really changing, in your opinion, to appeal to the young voters, to Gen Z, or is just a rebranding of the political parties and some netas that we are seeing?
Thank you, Heena, for this question. But before I come to that, I would like to just add in one thing to what Mr. Imran just told. He mentioned about degrees. I just cannot resist myself from bringing out this one thing that even Osama bin Laden had a degree from Oxford University. And that exactly is my whole point, that, degrees do not make anything. The reason why am I stating this is for this generation. I talk about, as being a Gen Z myself, this generation really believes in more interactive spaces than looking into what you are showing us. There's one great thing that I love about this generation. We can literally sense things that what you are faking it. When someone is faking something, it is very clearly visible. I need to add this, why I'm saying this, as much as, I'll be very honest here. As much as I'm strongly against how the entire CJP movement has taken place, I am ashamed and I'm also taken aback with the kind of languages that has come up and how the behavior was, because that is not the Gen Z that I belong to, and that is not the Gen Z that I would want anyone belonging to. But at the same point of time, there is a strong question that I also have for the government. Who gave the space for CJP to rise in the first place? Now, when you are coming up with reels, now when there is an interactive spaces happening, why was it lacking right before that?
Okay.
It was that is the one of the major reason. You can, as much as I say that, whatever has happened wrong, the protest has been hijacked, and I strongly agree with that.
I think that's a very pertinent question you have raised, Naimisha, and I'll ask that question, further in this debate. But let me also ask you another question about Kangana Ranaut. Do you agree with the point she has made about Gen Z, the way she has branded Gen Z as generation gutter?
Absolutely not. I am even ashamed that how could she even make that? And more than that, I really hope now, if BJP is really trying hard to just, have an interactive space with Gen Z, build up a conversation, they must take an account. They must, because we just saw our education minister putting up a resignation. So in that case, they must hold Kangana Ranaut accountable for that, because that is the only way they will also show the Gen Z that we stand with you and we do not accept any kind of insults. Okay. This generation is very clear on things that we take. We are very truthful on that.
I know Shaina wants to come in, Sanju also wants to come in, but let me also take opening comments from Tausif. Tausif has been waiting patiently. I mean, why do you think CJP could do in this country, unite the youngsters in this country, that force the education minister in this country to step down, and opposition could not do this?
Yes, opposition could not do this because opposition has always been at the receiving end. Anyone from the opposition, any leader who would raise any objection against government, they would be branded anti-national. And we all know that even the students who are protesting were also tagged anti-national by some of the BJP ecosystem.
But Tausif, some people had branded even the protesters as anti-national, yet they managed to do what they wanted to do.
Yes, because in the heart of the heart,
Naimisha, 1 second, I'll come back to you.
The Home Minister is all scared. They're all scared because they know what has been happening in Bangladesh, what has happened in the neighboring countries. You see, they hate anyone opposing the ruling dispensation. No one, show me an example, did anyone from BJP, even the two BJP panelists sitting in the TV, did they condemn what TG Mohandas said, what Kangana said today? They have not. And they are objecting to the language.
They've already responded to that question, but I asked you a direct question, Tausif. Let me again ask you that question. Why do you think CJP, a satirical platform, could do in this country and opposition could not?
Because they have an issue, because they have a cause. What were they asking for? What were they fighting for?
So Imran, opposition did not have any cause. Then what is this brouhaha about Rahul Gandhi being the first one to raise the NEET paper leak issue, the education issue?
Yes, because the government could not do to the students what they did to the opposition.
The difference is on Kangana calling the generation gutter, and today Rahul Gandhi saying that we are proud of what the students have been able to achieve. So the difference...
My question is different, Tausif, Imran. My question is now, why do you think what CJP could achieve in the last 1 month, opposition could not, because Rahul Gandhi, opposition, specifically Congress party, has been the first one to raise the issue of NEET paper leak. He says it, he claims it. Why do you think he could not? Because he could not really connect with Gen Z the way opposition should have? That's exactly what we are discussing today, the battle to woo Gen Z in this country.
Here, the victim was the Gen Z because they were the students. What they could achieve without any, and I do not attribute, remember 1 week ago, the entire discussion was of how politics was being made out of it. And I, from day one, always said one thing. I said, this is a student movement. Politics, people can come and go for all the mileage that they want.
You know, today, it became a students' movement because the opposition could not do anything with it. Anyways, I don't have a lot of time, so I'll be fair. I'll give 10 seconds to each one of you. But please stick to time. I'm completely out of it. Sanju, please 10 seconds. Closing comments.
You know, my closing comments are this. If you question Kangana Ranaut, you should also question the people who use profanities against Narendra Modi. And coming to Tausif, you said Union Home Minister
Sanju,
Amit Shah
Prime Minister ignored all of that, and despite that he reached out to the young people in this country. That's why we are discussing it today. Won't it undo the gains that the party, the government has achieved by Prime Minister's outreach? Shaina.
You know, he said 10 seconds.
Look, I just want to make 2 points because time is of paucity. First and foremost, the narrative power. We all understand the Gen Z's power because in 15 seconds, they're able to set trends, that being in the digital space, but we're losing the actual point, which is what are we here for? We are here to address their demands, be it the NEET protest, the paper leaks, the government's proactiveness and Parliament discussing. But let's understand that if you lose a white check, you lose the narrative too. And the reality is this, that the largest...
आप नाराज मत होइए, 10 seconds. चलिए, closing comments.
Yes. Please, you know, Heena, you talk about tolerance, and it is rightfully so that you do that. But give BJP the leeway to respond.
I started with you, Sanju. I have come back to you again to give you time.
Yes.
You can't accuse me of not giving you enough time. Today, Tausif should be angry with me, not you, Sanju.
Yeah, and on a lighter note, you know, just taking off from what Naimisha said, not everybody who studied at Oxford is Osama bin Laden. I've done my public policy economics from Oxford. But be that as it may, let me just say one thing. You know, the limited point is, and please, this is in 5 seconds because Amit Shah's name came and I need to rebut that. Union Home Minister Amit Shah ke karan, Article 370 was abrogated after 69 long years with not a single incident of violence reported. Naxalism was ended after 66 years with, you know, so much happening all around, but not a single word of appreciation from Rahul Gandhi.
Well, they are seeking his resignation. That's what Rahul Gandhi said in his press conference today. Naimisha, 10 seconds. Imran, please stick to 10 seconds.
I'll just give you one simple example. What happened is basically Gen Z, youth, everyone has an anger. It is very normal. When there has been a government, there would also be disagreements. There will be anger. What entire opposition did, you know, the entire petrol was there. They just light up a matchstick, threw it in the direction whichever they want. That's it. That's it just happened.
Okay, Imran.
I will reply to an article with an article. Article 239 AA sub-article 3A specifically states that Delhi Legislative Assembly cannot rule on police, cannot rule on public order, and cannot rule on land. This was specifically under the Home Minister, number one. Number two, Sanju Verma ji's rebuttal is absolutely the first thing I saw, and I knew she was from Oxford, and I knew she would feel bad about it. However, I feel what I was trying to say was that the way she rebuts and the way she talks, she's going against people who are highly educated, like Sanju Verma ji herself. She's a highly educated lady, and that's why she will never stand by something Kangana Ranaut said, whether she's from the party or not.
Okay. So, Tausif, 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Closing comments.
Heena, Kangana Ranaut is an epic example of verbal diarrhea that so many BJP leaders suffers from. The entire BJP system suffers from. Today, they are taking objection to the lingos of the students. But the Prime Minister himself said, Jersey guy, $50,000 girlfriend, and Didi, they have no right to object.
Well, it's for everybody. If political discourse will stoop to a new low every single day, people are watching. आपने देख ही लिया है पिछले 1 महीने में क्या हुआ. And that's why now there is this race to woo the young voters, and that's the reason why the lingo is also being changed. So we'll see what really happens and whether any kind of a direction will be given to Kangana Ranaut as well to think before she says anything, especially for Gen Z in this country, which is a demographic dividend for us, the future of our country. I'm completely out of time. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us today.